support them, and so on and so on. And now you are a Bible worker, and your salary, you feed your family through this. How is it? Did you had any trouble like this that I mentioned, or not with you?
Every time, man. If that's why I said Tunisians are like more of a secular people. So it's about, I mean, I think this is worldwide, money and ego are the gods of this century. So yeah, I had this. I won't say like every time. Of course, I was joking when saying every time. But yeah, it happens a lot. Even I have a friend, you know him, I will not mention his name, but he was preaching to somebody and he told him like, I mean, let's cut this. How much are you giving me? And I'll be with you, like no matter what your beliefs are. So I mean, let's go to the deal immediately. You don't have to. Let's spare the details. How much
Someone
are
came
you
to my
giving me?
mind. I will not mention.
Yeah, maybe that's him. So yeah, and the problem, even some people like they say they accepted Christ and everything because they think now they are part of the family, and there is no way you will say no to them. Now we are Christians, and you gotta help your fellow Christians. So look, can I have like at least small amounts I can so to eat or to do this or to do that? So yeah, this happens. This happens all the time.
So I want to find out, Farad.
Hello, Amma.
Yes, yes,
How are you?
Asma. Fine, thank you. I want to find out. In fact, I'm so much happy to join this conversation because at times I think about these things. I want to find out if Farad has ever in his life when he converted into Christianity, whether he had feared for his life on the street, maybe going outside and thinking someone might hurt him or something. Has he ever felt that kind of fear before since he became a Christian?
Thank you so much for the question, and really thank you for your participation with us. To
Thank you
answer
too.
to answer the question, yes, I had this for a big part of my life, and that's, I mean, in the first years of my conversion to Christianity, I was so afraid even to say that I was Christian. I was that
Yeah.
afraid. So I believed in Christ, but I don't know if I can say I believed really, because I know later when I really accepted Christ in my life and I had this freedom that fear was no longer part of my life.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, yes, of course. I mean, I remember one time, and I'm not proud of this, but I was in a coffee shop full of people, and it was like 1 year after I believed in Christ, and people were asking me if the rumors were correct. We heard that you were Christian now. Is that correct? And that was the one time I regret in my life not answering, because
Uh,
I had to say no to save my
mm,
life between like 100 people in the coffee shop. And maybe that raised the question on my mind if I was ready, if I really accepted Christ,
mhm,
because it
mhm,
was like a shame for me. It presented like in Arabic, we have this expression. We say that it's a black mark in my life or in my heart, and I had this sense of guilt. How I did not witness for Christ. How I said no. Like I'm not Christian. So and and I had this for quite some years. But after that, I had to choose either fear or hope,
mhm,
either faith
mhm,
or fear. So both, they cannot coexist.
mhm.
But when you first change your religion and people start looking at you in a different way, it is not easy. It is like fear should be there somehow. And we listen to the testimonies of other people who became Christians, how their families disavowed them, how some people, like it happened to some of them, that like they had some troubles with other people, with like they aggress them or stuff like that. But
Mm.
again, thank God, honestly, Tunisia is not the country, the perfect country to see all of these like bad things happening. People are open here way more than other Arabic countries, but
Mm.
still have this like let's say honor and shame culture that whatever happens is a collective matter. It affects your family, your society,
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
school, everything you belong to. Yeah.
Okay.
Any
Thank God.
anyone has thank you, Amma, for your participation. Um, if anyone wants to say something as well or share something, ask something for Furat about his experience there. I remember it came to my mind when I was in the coffee shop every day with Mehdi, with those groups of the language institute. And one day after I was going to the coffee shop, uh, the guys, because we used to study the Bible every day that there in that coffee, and I had no responsibility, no fear, anything. Just open the Bible and talk loudly. And who wants to come? It's okay. You're welcome. And the police just came by like 1 hour before, and I was arriving in that coffee with. You were without the, you were without sound, Furat.
Yeah, I can listen. I will unmute when I participate.
Okay. Uh, and now it remind me about this as well. Um, about Nur, for example, in small city, I saw kids throwing stones at her door, and so despite all the freedom that Tunisia has politically, democratically, we also see the prejudice in society a lot, like especially with a Muslim that become Christian. The other way around, it's proud, it's good, but when a Muslim can become Christian, uh, he converts to Christianity. It's serious business, right, for that.
Yes, it does. As I said, Pedro, I just want to emphasize on this point again because I believe some of us were not there when I mentioned this. And I said that here Islam is more of an identity than of a religion.
Mm.
So this is who they are. If you want them to change, you're taking their identity. And when you become Christian, it's like a threat for them. Like one of ours was taken from us. And we have all this prejudice, as you said, like we can read on some newspaper how like some journalists think we give money to people to become Christians because they cannot understand how a person raised to be a Muslim can change, you
Hmm.
know? So, because this is who you are, but then in the same time, they believe that if you are a Christian or from another religion, you have the right and you should search and eventually find out that Islam is the truth, is
Hmm.
the double standards that people live in here.
And well, more than 3 years already passed that I was almost 3 years. I think it's doing 3 years that I was in Tunisia this year, and probably many things changed. One of them is that we cannot go out right now. We are all stuck in our home. But I would like to know if there's any opportunity that you see or that you saw during these 3 years, um, for the gospel, how people are reacting. Uh, are they more interested? Uh, you told me about Amin asking for Bible studies in Daniel, probably because of the prophecies and ending of times. Everyone is afraid because of this disease. So I would like to know if there which doors and what doors are being opened.
Well, I don't see particular things for the past 3 years, but you mentioned about this situation, and you really know Tunisians, Pedro, and how they believe in facts, in things that you can touch and you can see. So prophecies, or for example, when you read Matthew 24 and you see that Jesus said that there will be pestilences and wars and stuff like that, like when they hear things that are happening that are actually in the Bible, you know that the idea is the Bible is falsified, is a falsified book. This is what they believe here. So that's, at least from my personal experience, the way I was discussing with some Muslim friends, when we speak about this side of things that the Bible said will happen and it happened, so this is a door that take us back, of course, to see other prophecies that they were, for example, in the Old Testament and they happened in history at some point. So it's like you start from this moment here about people are being, trembling what's going to happen. This makes some people more open. And then when you start from there and you go back in history, this is one of the things that personally, I'm not saying that this is all over Tunisia, but personally, this allowed me at least to open up for the first time with, let's say, 3 to 4 people that I couldn't have this moment to really share the gospel with them. And through this moment, I could finally find the perfect entrance to share with them. The other thing, Pedro, is that sometimes maybe we do a mistake, and that is our main concern is to convert people. And this is sometimes wrong, because when it comes naturally, when you become like in this, let's take this situation, like now we are in a distress and everyone like doesn't know what is happening, what is going to happen. So when you try to be the light and the salt as Jesus asked us to be, so this happened automatically. You speak to people and they feel that somehow you have hope. The difference between people who have Jesus and those who don't is the hope that we have in Jesus, whether in Him being in control of everything or in the hope in His second coming. We have hope in Jesus. This is what other people don't. So when you share this in a normal way, it's not that you force things. You find yourself preaching, and you find yourself, as Peter says, to be ready to give an answer to the hope that you have. You see?
And
So, yeah,
how
please.
is there any difference in the reactions of hope when we talk about hope between you as Adventist and a Muslim, for example? Do you see the perception of fear being changed, not only by you, but I mean the Adventist in Tunis is general, like the ones that are Tunisians? How you see the perception of this time and fear, and also the others, the Muslims, how they see and what's the difference?
Like, I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand the question. Like, how other
Uh,
our Muslim friends see that we react to this, or
yeah, for example, this kind of situation. Many Christians they are saying and this is the end in time and Jesus is coming and so on. So this is the reaction of Adventist. He will see this and uh, he will. Oh, it's one more sign being accomplished of Jesus coming back. It's written that in the end of times there would be
So how they
epidemics,
interpret
disease. Yes. So how is the interpretation of uh,
the situation?
this situation about the Muslims, and how you see the Adventist uh, or the Christians seeing the situation in Tunisia?
If I mean, there are different point of views, of course, but the main one that I was seeing, they people really think that this is a punishment from God, like a direct punishment from God because of their deeds, because of their openness, that we are becoming like Western countries and everything. So, and even they say countries like Saudi Arabia that never had like musical concerts and stuff like that now started to be more open. So people really think that, I mean, most of the people think this is a punishment from God. So we understand some values. Yes, Ghazlan, please help me out here.
Well, the way I saw it on Facebook, like the people who are sharing their thoughts, I would say they see it as tribulation more than a punishment. Maybe there are people who see tribulation, or like there are other people who see punishment.
But this is the normal mentality of the Tunisians. Then you're talking about Muslims or general Muslims and
No,
Christians.
Muslims. And there are people, Muslim people, who are seeing this as a purification.
A purification. Okay, interesting. Um,
Yeah, maybe Ghazlan used a better word than I did when she said purification, because when I said punishment, the point or the goal is not to punish, but it's like a punishment for repentance. Like I will smite you so you go back to me. This is the idea.
like Allah is doing something to bring people closer
Yeah,
to Him again.
he's hitting with plagues, pestilences, and whatever is happening, so people will go back to him. Yeah.
And you, as Adventists, what is your perspective, Furat? As Tunisian, you were a Muslim and now you are a Christian, so you have a bigger
Well,
understanding of the.
what I'm saying express only my opinion. Okay, the way I see things. I
Uh-huh.
do believe that God cannot be the origin of bad. So, but I do believe also that God allows certain things to happen. So for me, if there is any tribulation or anything bad that is happening, maybe later I can share a quotation that C.S. Lewis wrote like in 1943, and he was imagining a conversation where Satan said that I will shut down schools, I will shut down businesses, I will cause this and this and this. But Jesus said, through this, I will make people understand the value of the family. I'll make people understand that they should rely on me and not on their money, on their material resources. And it's like he was imagining like a conversation. So this is the way I see it. If something bad happens, I don't believe God is the origin of that thing, but I believe that He allowed that. And from that thing, you know that everything works for the good. So anything, how bad it could be, God can bring that together in a miraculous way to teach His children a lesson. So I believe that through this distress and everything, many of us are learning valuable lessons. At least I do. I am doing this. And this is my personal opinion, okay?
Yeah. Uh, Anyone wants to participate? We're almost finishing the discussion.
Yes, I would like to make a question for our last question. It seems to me that in Tunisia, the prejudice against Christians is not so hard as in the Egypt and say Saudi Arabia. You think that is the same level of prejudice against Christian in Egypt and Saudi Arabia, in Tunisia?
No, it's not the same at all. If I can mention two countries, maybe that this is what I hear from other Arabic people, because I have people who visited other countries. I've been to Qatar, for example, and that showed me the contrast. I mean, when I was in Qatar, you know, when going inside the church, actually they have a complex of churches. You know, they have a complex where there is the doors like an airport or like a train station. They do the control with the policemen, and then you go and there's a complex, and there is all the different churches: Catholic Church, like Anglican Church, evangelical churches, like a big complex. But they check your passport, and if you are from Qatar, if you are a Qatari, they do not allow you to go in. So, and I saw, and like, then I even understood more, if I can say, the blessing of being a Tunisian, because here you have the rights of believing whatever you want. It's just preaching the gospel is prohibited. Like, you can believe whatever you want, but people have problem with those who preach. And here comes the problem, because for us Christians, Adventists, you cannot be Christian without preaching the gospel. This is our mission. You accept Christ, okay, now go ahead and you have to share this treasure, this good news that you just discovered you have. It cannot stop with you. This is not the message that we have. If you are Christian, you have to share the gospel. So
Tunisia
here,
is a very secular country. So the problem is that you cannot preach even Islam in Tunisia. So you can imagine the problem that it's a secular country, but with Muslim traditions.
and Pedro, let me say here that this makes things even harder, because you know, sometimes we speak about people as having many layers. You know, like an onion. There is many layers, and then there is the core. So for this country, there are even more layers, because there is Islam. There is the, you know, the difference when we say Islam as a religion, and we have what we call folk Islam, like the traditions and everything. That's another layer. And also we have secularism, which is another layer. So you have to go bit by bit by bit to reach the core of the person. Some people, of course, like as an openness and as for safety sake, it is, I mean, Tunisia, I think I'm confident to say it is the best Arabic country to be in. But when it comes to really preaching, it gets like even harder sometimes, because, as I said, ego and money are other gods among people.
Yeah, this everywhere, right? Everywhere. I would like to thank Furat because of your time. You came here. No, you didn't come, but you are here with me.
I came to the other room, so yeah.
Yeah. And I want to remind you about the ministry that you have there with your family, with your kids. We know that sometimes it's hard. Not sometimes, most of the time it's hard preaching the gospel. But you are doing a good job through procreation. Now you have 2 kids, and they'll probably be Advents. So good work. Keep the good work for that.
Then I think
That's
perhaps
enough.
we get more children.
No, sister, that's enough for me. 2 is enough.
So, Furat, thank you so much, and be a bless. Continue to be a bless everywhere you go, everywhere you step. Do you want to say any word of encouragement before you leave?
Man, before any words of encouragement, I would like to say that it was such a big pleasure for me, like to be with you guys. Usually, sometimes, you know, I check the clock on when the meeting is ending, how much left, but I did not look any time at the clock, because I was enjoying every question and every comment of yours. And if you have me with you, like more times to come, I'll be happy to be with you guys. And yeah, maybe if there is one thing I would like to say now, I think most of us, wherever we are in lockdown, most of the people around the world. And I think in terms of preaching the gospel and in terms also of our personal relationship with God, I see there is no better opportunities for us than this one. Like, let me be honest with you. One of the things I'm struggling with is finding the time to read with two kids, you know, with taking care of a family and work and everything. It is hard to find time to read. Now I'm reading two books in the same time. So I found time to read, for example, which is something, I mean, for you, maybe it is not an achievement. For me, it is. So
صح
another
صح.
thing, thank you, man. I mean, I found more time to pray to God and to pray as a family and to spend time with God as to strengthen this personal relationship with God. Because if we don't have this, then we cannot give it to people. We cannot give what we don't have. So I understood that I have to work on my personal relationship with God. Then I will try to preach the gospel. Also, in terms of preaching, I see that most of people, they don't like to go to churches. Maybe it's uncomfortable for them. They don't like to take transportation, to spend money and time to move to other places. And also people keep giving these excuses that I have what to do, I have what to do. I'm having some work here, I'm visiting someone there. Now these excuses are not available. All of us are home and we don't have to move, no transportation, no money, nothing. So it's us, our computer, our phone, and we talk to each other. It's been a blessing during this, you know, distress and turbulence, if we can call it, and all of that. I see myself connecting to people even way more than in the normal days. So let's use this time to first work on our relationship with God and spend more time with God. And second, to preach the gospel to people wherever they are. They're sitting in their homes using their computers. We can share the good news and the hope that we have in Jesus with them. Thank you, Pedro. Thank
Amen.
you so much.
Thank you, guys. Then look, you need to read every day. Follow the example of Furat and me. And okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. And I want to end this live doing something that I don't do for such a long time.
I know what it is. I know.
شنو
pray,
شنو تفكر
What is this?
pray in Arabic. Pray in Arabic. I know.
يلا نصليو بالعربي.
Okay, so Leo.
اوكي نعملوا 3 صلاه انا وفرات وبوفينا حاجه صغيره. اوكي انا حد نبدا وانتم تكملوا.
What?
يا رب نصليو لاجل المسيح، باسم المسيح، على كل شيء اللي نعيشه اليوم في هذا العالم. فما برشا حاجات اللي كي فما برشا حاجات اللي كتسالي كي تصير توا في العالم. فما ناس مريض، فما مرضى في العالم، ونحن نصليو باش رحمة نتاعك تكون معانا كل يوم وباسم المسيح.
يا رب ليك المجد، ليك الرفعة، ليك السلطان. يا رب نجي قدامك نحط قلوبنا وحياتنا بين يديك. يا رب نطلبوا انك تبارك كل حد موجود لهنا، وانك تقودنا يا رب كل لحظة وكل يوم، وتخلي عينينا مركزين معك انت يا رب، مش مع حتى حاجة اخرى. خلي في
آمين.
وقت الضيقة هذه يا رب تكون فرصة إنه نعديو معاك برشا وقت، إنه كما تقول كلمتك نثبت فيك يا ربي وأنت تثبت فينا، كنتيجة تكون عنا ثمار يا رب، وأن نوصلوا كلمتك للعالم الكل، لكل لسان وكل قبيلة وكل أشخاص يا رب في العالم هذا، في اسم المسيح آمين.
امين.
Amen.
يا ربي نحمدوك ونشكروك على نهار اليوم، على اللمة هذية متاعنا. يا ربي أنت الأعظم، وأنت أكبر والأقوى يا ربي. أنت كي تقول أي حاجة كن فيكون يا ربي، ولهذا يا ربي نطلب منك كونك تقودنا وتحمينا يا ربي في المرحلة هذية. يا ربي نشكروك اللي عنا الأوبورتونيتي والبوسيبيليتي كونه عنا أكثر وقت باش نقعدوا معاك ونقراو كلمتك يا ربي. يا ربي خلينا نقربوا لك أكثر ونحسوا بحضورك أكثر يا ربي. افتح لنا قلوبنا وعقولنا ليك يا ربي، والهمنا يا ربي، أعطينا أكثر أفكار باش نعرفوا كيفاش نعديوا الوقت متاعنا يا ربي. نطلب هذه الكل باسمك، آمين.
آمين.
امين.
Amen.
Pedro,
شكراً.
as we finish, if I can say one thing, please.
Yeah, sure.
Please, everyone who are with us, I would like to ask you to keep Tunisia in your prayers. Whenever you pray, remember to pray for Tunisia and for the outreach in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Furant. If you need any help as well, online, whatever we can do from this side of the world, you are welcome. Okay.
I know I can count on you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed day.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Alberto
Bye.
Fit. Slama.
Bye.
Bye bye.
باي باي.
Ciao. Bye bye.
Ciao.